Everyone, my name is Greg, and I am the author of the book titled Faster, Safer, Wealthier. Skip the startup and buy a stable business to build intergenerational wealth. The book outlines how you're able to accumulate wealth through business acquisition and how entrepreneurship through acquisition is more closely aligned not only with wealth accumulation, but with the principles of wealth retention. So in this short video, I will be reading from the chapter of my book titled Education is Not a Prerequisite. And it outlines how education is not a prerequisite to entrepreneurship and displays some of the myths around the necessity of education and particularly of business schools. So it starts out, education is not a prerequisite to entrepreneurship. So I grew up in a small rural community where the largest employers were sizable oil field services and road construction companies. And as a kid, I had admired the achievements of the owners, the massive amount of equipment that they owned, the number of people that they employed, and the size of their contracts. And looking back on this and reflecting, some of the owners had dropped out of high school. In fact, most of them had, while some had passed high school and had pursued a trade, but not one of them had gone to university, and not one of them had attended business schools. Yet they owned some of the most successful companies in the area and continue to do so. So the same is true for many iconic business leaders. The list of those who dropped out of high school or college is a very long list. And a disproportionate number of business leaders have learning disabilities such as dyslexia. Theo Paphitis is a British entrepreneur and multimillionaire whose holdings have included Ryman and Licenza in the UK. In his biography titled Enter the Dragon, he speaks about the challenges that dyslexia caused in applying for jobs in his younger days, noting that dyslexia made even the simple act of filling out an application form a major problem. Yet he went on to become a multimillionaire through acquisition and through acquiring and turning around failing retailers. Stanford professors Jeffrey Pfeffer and Robert Sutton similarly note in their book titled The Knowing Doing Gap that numerous researchers have found little of what is taught in college or even business schools really prepares would-be entrepreneurs or would-be managers for the realities of managing a business. So in fact, education can be a hurdle. It can pigeonhole your thoughts and obstruct your creativity. Formal education trains you to be a good employee, to think inside the box, and to comply with the norms of business. Even business schools and MBA programs prepare you to get, quote, a better job and to move up the ranks of employment by becoming more valuable to your employer. Thomas Stanley has spent most of his career researching the affluent. In a study of millionaires, Stanley, in his book, he found that most have been told at some point in their lives by authoritative figures or by the results of standardized test scores that they're not intellectually gifted or smart enough to succeed. So what is more important than formal education is the willingness to learn and to learn from your experiences as you go through your personal journey with entrepreneurship. Great entrepreneurs develop a gift of applying and following through on the knowledge accumulated. Management writer Peter Drucker has been quoted as noting that the only skill that will be important in the 21st century is the skill of learning new skills. Everything else will become obsolete over time. Stanley and Danko, in their book, rightfully note, remember that wealth is blind. It cares not who if its patrons are well educated. All of this is not to suggest that education has no value in entrepreneurship. It's simply to suggest that it is not a prerequisite. So I hope you enjoyed that section of the book and hope you enjoy the rest of the book as well. Thanks for listening and take care.